Hey guys, Natalie here. So, I want to continue our journey on the prophetic numbers that I spoke of in the last, actually, a couple reels ago. Um, and the two reels that I did around this, or maybe three, I spoke about the fact that I gave my testimony about the fact that if you are someone that's seeing these numbers, that are chasing you everywhere, and you know for a fact that something is up with the numbers, a certain number patterns, a certain numbers that you're seeing everywhere, that something is going on and you want to know what it is. And I gave you the testimony around the fact that I, in seeking this information out, searching YouTube, searching Google, that I went down a wrong path. And I will reiterate, and it went down the path of the angel numbers. And the angel numbers, like I said in the last video, if you watch that one, it is definitely not what we come into agreement with. We renounce and we come out of agreement with that, because that's from the kingdom of darkness. It's a counterfeit to God's prophetic numbers. So we're talking prophetic numbers, okay? Now, prophetic numbers, God uses these. He has a book in the Bible called Numbers, and he basically uses certain numbers, certain repetitive or patterns of numbers to chase us down. He chases us down with them, trying to tell us many things. And many times people don't clue in. Many times people do. If you're like me and you saw so many different sets, and for me, it started with the 12-12, and then I started to see the 1-1-2-2-2. I think maybe 2-2-2 was the first one, and then the 1-1-1, the 3-3-3, the 4-4-4, that whole pattern. Then he took me down the pattern of the 111, 211. Well, I mean, the 111 goes in both groups really, but the 211, the 311, the 411s. And then he took me down the path of the next sequence of the 114, 214, 314. So the Lord is speaking, and he has a lot to say to us. And he's using these to, one, grab your attention. Two, he's using the prophetic numbers to try to speak something to you about your life, right? So whether that's about marriage, whether that's about children, whether that's about the enemy working in your marriage, your life, your job, your, any number of things the Lord can be speaking to us about, depending on what's going on with our life. So, we want to talk about 1010 today, and I want to bring 1010 up. I know it's not part of the sequence of the 211, 311, 411. In particular, the 611 I've already done, and the 911 I've already done, because I wanted to highlight those two important ones because they're protection scriptures. But I want to do this one because it's another important one that I came to realize and understand that the Lord was saying to me. And it was something that you know, had I known sooner, I would have been praying and then decreeing against it. But I didn't know these things until more recently, maybe a couple years ago. So this one is 1010. So similar to that 1212 or that 1111, this one's 1010. But again, 1111 goes into the category of the two 11s too. So some of them fit into different sequences of numbers, but that's not really important. The fact is, if you're seeing certain patterns of numbers and you know for a fact that these patterns are occurring all the time, and you know that they're definitely chasing you down, in that moment, God says, go look at your phone. You have that leading to go look at your phone. And then the moment you go do that, there's 1010 on your screen. And again, TV or billboards or phone numbers or license plates, wherever, you keep seeing this everywhere. And 1010 is actually a very common one, because I don't know if you've noticed, I've seen it on smart watches, on ads of certain companies, that for some reason on the smartwatch it will have that 1010. So it's a very common number too, along with the 1111. But 1010 is another protection scripture. So while I was on the path of trying to figure this out, uh, the Lord led me to John 10:10. So I did a post on this recently, John 10:10, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I come so that he may have life and have it abundantly. So the post that I put out recently is basically speaking to the fact that many of us, because a good majority of us don't believe in the enemy working in our lives. Many of us are clueless. There's a very good majority of us that have no idea that when God says the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, the enemy is Satan. What did Satan do from the very beginning in the Garden of Eden? He messed with Eve, and here we are today living the life that God didn't originally design us to live, right? What happened with the first generation of children, Cain and Abel? The first ones that were born on the earth, Cain and Abel. What happened there? Enemy was at work, and spirit of envy and other things, and Cain killed Abel, right? So enemies at work from the very beginning of our creation on this earth. Satan, who hates us and hates the fact that God created us, has been at work in our lives. Whether we know it or not, that's another story. But I want to tell you that the Lord was highlighting this number to me because he was trying to tell me that. And I didn't know, because I told you in the very last reel, that how God led me to my God ordained husband. I had no idea of all the open doors and all the things we were doing wrong because I wasn't in my scripture. I was a very lukewarm Christian, and I had no idea of all the things that led the enemy to destroy um, marriage, family, and life. Okay, so when God's highlighting this 1010 number, he could be saying to you the same thing he was saying to me. John 10:10, the thieves come to steal, kill, and destroy. And this can manifest in many ways for us. It could look like we're having issues at work, on the job, with people, or in our marriage, or with our children. So he's at work, and he's at work constantly. The devil does not sleep. And when we are ignorant to the fact that the enemy is working against us, how are we even protecting ourselves? So, like with the last two numbers I put out on 9/11 and 6/11, they're two protection scriptures that I recommended you pray it daily, twice a day, actually, and even more times if God shows you 9/11 or 6/11 during the day. Put those on because they're protecting you from the devices of witchcraft and tactics of the enemy of Satan. And of course, with this one, I want you to add the 1010. If you are someone that is having this number chase you all the time, the Lord may be saying the same thing to you, that the enemy's at work in some area of your life, to pray the scripture and then decree everything against what the enemy could be doing. Okay. Now, I can't know for sure that that's what the Lord's saying. Only he knows what he's saying, and only he will be able to guide you with 100% accuracy. But when you book the coaching session, we can get an idea of all the things that's going on in your life, your phase of life when it comes to marriage, whether you're in the single season or in a marriage covenant, or separated or divorced, right? And then we can get an understanding around all the numbers you're seeing. And I can show you how to do this and help guide you and teach you what the Lord taught me. So please book the coaching session. If you're someone that you feel like you're chasing, you have these numbers chasing you all the time in certain sequences, and you're seeing lots of them, then the Lord's trying to tell you a lot of things that are important to your choices in life, important to your destiny, important to sometimes even who He may be calling you to be in the fivefold ministry of, whether a pastor or a teacher or anything like that. So there's a lot of things that you may not know that the Lord is trying to tell you. So I look forward to working with you. So go ahead and book the session on the website, and I'll talk to you then.